In 1978, descendants of two ancient Scottish families gathered in a field to sign a peace treaty. It was a formal end to a conflict, but it leaves an obvious question. Why did it take 5 centuries for these two groups to sign a piece of paper? To find the answer, we have to look back to 1426. This is Caithness, in the far north of Scotland. It was a rugged, highly territorial landscape where royal authority meant very little, and local disputes were settled at the edge of a sword. At the time, Helen of Braemore, of Clan Gun, was preparing to marry her cousin, Alexander. But a rival leader, Dugald Keith, wanted Helen for himself. On the night before the wedding, Dugald and his men ambushed the celebration. They murdered Alexander and dragged Helen away as a captive. She was locked inside the Keith stronghold, Akergill Tower. Rather than be forced to marry the man who killed her fiancé, Helen climbed to the battlements and threw herself to her death. In the isolated Scottish Highlands, a tragedy like this created a total vacuum of justice. Helen's death demanded retaliation, starting a 500-year timer of inescapable bloodshed. Clan Gun immediately struck back. They launched retaliatory raids against Keith lands, escalating into the brutal Battle of Tannock, where both sides suffered heavy casualties. The fighting reached a new level of viciousness at a site marked by ancient standing stones, a skirmish remembered as the Battle of Manastan. Here, the Keiths deployed their absolute most terrifying asset on the battlefield, a massive warrior known simply as Big Keith. Wielding a massive Scottish claymore, a 2-handed sword like this one, designed to maximize sheer kinetic force, Big Keith carved a path straight through the gun lines, striking down 5 men in rapid succession. The guns were collapsing until one of their wounded fighters, bleeding on the ground, spotted an opening. He drew a small hunting knife and struck upward from the mud. That single, desperate slice severed Big Keith's leg tendon. The giant collapsed, instantly crippled and removed. Seeing their champion fall shattered the Keiths' morale. They broke ranks and abandoned the battlefield entirely. The Guns won the field that day, but defeating a rival champion didn't bring them any closer to lasting peace. It only fueled the Keiths' humiliation and guaranteed a fiercer fight the next time they met. Decades later, the chief of Clan Gun, a man named George the Crowner, decided the mutual destruction had to end. He sent a diplomatic challenge to the Keiths to settle their score once and for all. His proposal was highly structured, a battle of champions. Each clan would bring exactly 12 men on horseback to meet and fight it out, letting the outcome decide the feud forever. The Guns arrived at the designated neutral ground, the Chapel of St. Tyrs. Exactly 12 men dismounted and went inside to wait and pray. But the Keiths found a treacherous loophole. They adhered to the rule to bring exactly 12 horses, but they arrived with 2 men riding on every single horse, instantly doubling their numbers. The 24 Keiths stormed the chapel. Trapped inside the narrow stone walls, George Gun and his outnumbered men fought desperately, but were entirely slaughtered. A few surviving members of the Gun clan managed to escape the area. Rather than retreat, they tracked the Keiths back to their stronghold where they were celebrating the massacre. Waiting outside in the dark, the Guns drew their bows and shot the Keith chief dead through an open window, before melting into the night. By exploiting a technicality, the Keiths thought they were securing a permanent victory. Instead, their betrayal ensured that any remaining trust between the families was eradicated, guaranteeing endless war. The ghosts of Helen, Alexander, Big Keith, and the Crowner sum over Caithness. Their memories locked the two clans into an inherited hatred that was passed down through every subsequent generation. Which brings us back to that field in 1978, where the descendants of those exact same clans finally came together. It takes only a single act of violence to spark a blood feud, but as the Guns and Keiths proved, it takes half a millennium of exhaustion to finally put the swords down.